So just as we thought all of the episodes planned to air this week were done, and we'd finally be able to get some sleep, Teifu had one surprise left for us, and aired Elation, and this episode was insane. And so today, we are going to be discussing everything that went down in episode 9 of season 5, along with my theories on what it is I think we can expect to see from the Love Square moving forward in upcoming episodes. As always, before we get into today's video, be sure to subscribe so you never miss the tea on the show you love. Now, let's get into it. As the episode begins with Ladybug and Cat Noir finishing up a mission, we can see just how eager Ladybug is to spend time with Cat Noir when it is that all her flattering towards him makes him assume that he's being tested, resulting in Marinette to later feel frustrated and confused when it is she's talking to Alia about the situation, when Alia goes to remind her that she was the one to make him suppress his feelings for her as Ladybug, which then stresses her even more to think about, because now he might have stopped loving her as Ladybug the way he once did. Ultimately, after some back and forth discussion between Alia and Marinette causing for some tension to be created, Marinette ends up heading to her balcony to get some fresh air. Meanwhile, Adrienne's visited the bakery in hopes to see Marinette, and as he asks Sabine and Tom whether Marinette's available, we can see the two getting all excited with one another as they've caught on to the fact that Adrienne now has feelings for Marinette. However, she does end up declining to come downstairs, and poor Adrienne was so excited. So as he leaves, due to the sudden surge of fans following him, he does end up transforming back into Cat Noir, and that's when we see him and Marinette make contact with one another and immediately look away. The way they both acted oblivious here after noticing one another was hilarious. I mean, look at Cat Noir's face here. But as they both gather themselves together, Cat Noir does head on over towards Marinette, and with him brings a rose. And not just any rose, but a red rose. I found this next part to be so cute and funny, and as Marinette goes to tell Cat Noir that she's been a big fan of him, he suggests they grab an Andre's ice cream, which is when we see the two looking at Paris from above in hopes to spot him. Meanwhile, Alia and Tiki are worrying about Marinette since now it's been a little while since she left to get some air, and when it was that she did, she wasn't in the best of moods. While we can see Cat Noir and Marinette having an absolute blast as they make their way over to Andre's, soon enough that fun would be ruined when it is that Andre makes it clear to them that they can't seriously be in love with one another, as it's meant to be Adrienne and Marinette and Ladybug and Cat Noir. Now what in the death stare was this? I cannot explain how hard this had me laughing. I know it's a serious moment with the two coming to this realization, but if you've seen the episode, you hear the music completely drop here. I was just as shocked. As we see the mood between the two now completely shift to the point where they won't even face one another, it's then that we can see Cat Noir really acknowledge that Marinette did love him. And as Adrienne, he's always been on the fence as to whether Marinette truly felt the same way about him, and now with this confirmation, while feeling inflicted by the thought that now she'd only love him as Cat Noir, we do see towards the end of this episode that Plagg reminds him that if she could fall in love once, she certainly could again. And I'll be touching more on that in just a bit. As Marinette assures Cat Noir that she loves him for who he is, even beneath the mask, a moment in which will go down in miraculous history happens, and I cannot even explain it. It's literally something that if you haven't already seen, you need to see. As Marinette tells him once again just how big of a fan she is, she goes to give him a kiss on the cheek, then on the nose, and as Cat Noir gives her one on the cheek, the two share one final kiss. Now, I'm curious as to whether anybody else thought of this during the scene, but with the way the rose is rested on Marinette's ear and covering her eye, it makes me imagine of Ladybug here. After Cat Noir suddenly realizes what just happened and how he couldn't do this because he felt as if he'd be taking advantage of Marinette, with him knowing who she truly is, meanwhile she wouldn't be able to know who he was, he insists on taking her home, and that's when Marinette absolutely loses it. A common theme seen throughout this episode was the constant control people were having over Marinette's feelings, and for Adrien/Cat Noir, his fans overwhelming him. And with this being the last straw, Monarch, ready to take advantage of any negative emotion he comes by, goes to akumatize Marinette, with the object holding the akuma being the rose Cat Noir gave to her. With no response from Marinette's end, and her being on the verge of relinquishing her miraculous, Cat Noir has no choice but to force her to kiss him, and seeing the fear across Marinette's entire face of what just happened made me feel so bad, because just as she thought she found her solution and would be safer with taking an interest in Cat Noir, now she'd be double traumatized. With Andre soon after being akumatized, and Cat Noir being hit by one of his blasts, we see Alia take things into her own hands, and literally speaking for all of us fans as she tells Glaciator that he should just mind his own business and that he shouldn't have insisted on who it was the two could love. Now this scene melted my heart. As someone who loves Lady Noir, seeing the two of them come to the agreement that for the time being they'll need to put their feelings aside and see one another as just friends, it hurts. However, I definitely understand why it is this is happening. In just the episode before this, Reunion, we learn about former Ladybug Miraculous holder Scarlet Fate, along with her lover Dark Gremlkin, where it is she explains that in order for them to be together, they had to renounce their Miraculouses, as the Ladybug and Black Cat holder could not be in love due to the consequences. And from previous spoilers and synopsis for the Kwame's Choice, we as well know that during the two-part episode, we can expect for Marinette and Adrien to give up their Miraculouses temporarily. As we come to the end of this episode, we can see Gabriel acknowledge that he now knows that Cat Noir has feelings for Marinette, which he's more than willing to take advantage of one day, and over at Marinette's, her and Cat Noir having one last hug before he says goodbye, leaving her heartbroken. And so, what does this mean for the future of Adrienette and Lady Noir this season? Well, I think we'll have a break of Lady Noir content in terms of them being together ship-wise. I do think this is the perfect time for Adrienette to set sail. If we take a look at this episode's end card, we can see that on the left, Marinette is looking up towards Cat Noir, while on the right, Adrien is looking up towards Ladybug, both the people in which have distracted their feelings for one another as Adrienette all this time, which further adds to the theory that Adrienette will begin to be making progress within these upcoming episodes and overall season. Within the Kwame's Choice, we know that the two will be spending a lot of time together now, especially with them being freed from their hero duties. However, we also know that at some point, Marinette will say to Adrien that she no longer loves him, likely because of her continuous avoidance now when it comes to falling in love with anyone. However, I have a feeling this could be a very important moment for Adrienette for a couple of reasons, and that being because the situation can be handled in a few ways. Either we get that moment we've been waiting for, where it is the two share a deep moment between one another of sharing their honest feelings and fears, or just like we saw Monarch do here, take advantage of these emotions and their relationship and try to akumatize one of them just as he's done before. In Cat Blanc, as soon as Gabriel was made aware of the bond between his son and Marinette, he broke it apart in hopes to get the chance to akumatize Marinette. However, things took a turn, and with Cat Noir's identity being revealed, Gabriel manipulated him and akumatized him. Same thing in Ephemeral. As soon as he realizes Adrien is Cat Noir, he lured Adrien into a place that would mentally overwhelm him to the point of being able to akumatize him. However, I think this season might just take a turn, and the moment in which many of us have been awaiting might just come true, and that being of Marinette to be akumatized. Every time Gabriel attempted to akumatize Marinette, Adrien/Cat Noir has always been there for her, even when it was he wasn't able to stop her, like in the episode Ladybug from season 3. With the recent reminder from this episode of just how easily she can be akumatized, I think this could be foreshadowing to her getting akumatized at some point this season, and for once, Adrien Adrien/Cat Noir is going to have to find a way in which he'll be able to save her without taking the risk of revealing his identity and an entire timeline being wiped out. I also think, similar to Ephemeral, it might just be possible for Luca to come into a situation like this in order to help him, because let's not forget, he knows, and it's something that's still yet to be touched on since he discovered their identities. But as always, what do you guys think? Every episode this season continues to surpass one another, and currently we do not have any upcoming episode air dates, but as soon as we do, I'll be sure to share them. As always, be sure to let me know your thoughts and theories down below, and subscribe so you never miss the tea on the show you love. And I'll see you guys in the next one.